Hey guys, it's Bill from Linden, Tennessee. I've been doing some work on my 3-point system. This has really held me up bad. Um, I need it to be functional, I guess. I need it to look good for sure, or I need it to be gone. I don't know which. Um, I don't know how much I'm going to actually use a 3-point hitch. The majority of my work with this thing is going to be just off of a receiver hitch, and pulling around a trailer that has a lawnmower on it, and that's just just a pin through the receiver hitch. So how much will I use this? I mean, might use it for tilling duties, at this time of the year. So maybe once or twice a year. Uh, I could put like a little sort of a ripper on it, I guess, if I wanted to do that. I don't know. I'm not gonna put like a big bush hog on here or a heavy anything. I do have plans to get like one of those DR chopper walk behind brush hog things and get rid of all the wheels and handlebars and all that and mount that to the front. That I would like to do. I think the brush hog is more useful in the front. That way you can chop down where you're going instead of running over stuff and then chopping it down. But that's for another day, many days from now. But anyway, this is where I'm at right now. And like we kind of talked about before, I got my little actuator in there. Everything's just kind of tacked. It's a 4-inch stroke actuator. And from the highest to the lowest, the way all this is set up right now, I've got about a 3-to-1 ratio. So I've got 12 inches of travel on the back. So this basically goes down all the way to the ground and then comes up so that the top of that bar is about 15 inches off the ground. I don't have it going all the way down to the ground because why? And really, I don't need it to go down as far as that. However, if I have it, if I don't have it go down that far, then it's top. Then the top limit has it coming up really, really far. And my big problem right now is how far that sticks up. So if you take a tape measure and measure from this bolt on the frame up to roughly here, you put a straight edge across it just to kind of get a rough idea. You're sitting at about 5 inches. 5 inches from this frame to the top of that. So that's how much clearance I need over here on my seat on this rear bodywork. And 5 inches, I'm going to take measure. Yeah, so now I'm just going to measure from where that mounting point is up 5 inches. So that's, let's call that 4. So that means I'd need to come up an inch or so from that flat spot to get all that stuff to clear. And so I could probably not have to cut any of that at all. However, I would need to cut all of this. Like all of that would have to go. Because where those bolts are is right here. And obviously all of this is going to be right here. So all of this would have to go. So all of that structure of this bodywork would have to go. I just did a weird thing. I moved that over really quick, and the reason I did that is because on my phone it's got the little stop-start button, and I couldn't see what I was doing, so I moved that so I could see, because I assume that you can't see. It's like little kids when they put their hands over their eyes and say you can't see. Anyway, sorry. So here's the thing. This might be obvious. I don't know. It might not be obvious. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out, but I want to continue this line here, like that there. So I want to do that, and the best way I could think of to extend this line so it goes straight. Now you could put just a solid ruler up there and then just line the edges up, but I just thought I'd put just a piece of 1/8 inch steel on a piece of thick flat bar, and weld the ends right there, and then just come up to it and then square it up, and now I can just transcribe a line all the way up to the top and follow it, and that'll keep me straight in line with that. And then whenever you come in with your angle grinder, you just kind of keep the line. You wouldn't actually cut the line, and it'll go all the way up, and it'll match perfectly So it says the theory. So that's it. Okay. But one thing I didn't notice is I did what I said I was going to do with the little flat bar, but it turns out that this angle and this angle, they're not the same. This one's like 11 degrees and this one's 15 or 16 degrees. So you end up with this one going like that and this one going straight up. So I basically just mimicked this angle on this side to this one over here and just sort of cut out a little bit extra. But I mean, it all blends in, and if I didn't tell you that, you'd never know. But something you do know, and something that I obviously see too, is that we got some interference problems. So that wasn't enough anyway. So I'm going to have to cut this out. It looks like I'm going to have to go back to about right here. Yeah, I'm going to have to go back to about right here. And I'll probably take it from here up to this same spot. So wherever that measurement is, I'll figure out some way of measuring that from here up to this same spot. And then once it clears these little arms down here, then I can sweep this up through its motion and see where it interferes again. And then I can just keep successively trimming back until eventually I'm over here somewhere and I just get rid of it all and just put like a bar stool or something. But okay, that's next. Oh man, what a mess. Look at all this metal shavings everywhere. So I look back at my little jig that I made a little earlier so I could follow that line, and I kind of have to laugh because I kind of had to cut out a lot more metal than I thought I would ever have to. And all those little pieces you see is just a series of raise it up, see where it hits, cut it off a little bit more than I think it's going to hit, try it again, and over and over and over for a while. And this is what I've come up with. So this is about how high it should ever go, which is kind of cool. It looks better with the back half of the body on. It doesn't look like it sticks out near as much. And then now the issue is kind of much worse than I thought it was going to be. That's a big old fat problem. That is a big old problem right there. So what am I going to do about that? I don't know. They say around here I'm going to have to study on that for a little while. I might could be able to cut this off, come out maybe so from here come out maybe 1.5 inches, cut it off right there, and then go and then break this sheet metal down flat so that becomes the new back half of the seat base. It's kind of a bummer because this little nut will be exposed, but you know, whatever. I think that's okay. But that might get me where I need to be, maybe. And even if I do break that over, I may still have to come here in the front and cut some reliefs to clear this arm that comes up. But I think that's kind of a winner right there. I think it looks sharp in the all the way up position. I guess the next step is to go ahead and run some much more solid tacks in the mounting of that actuator and weld the actuating, the part that the actuator attaches to, weld that to this part. Weld this part up a little bit better, come up under here, weld all that much better, do some good solid tack welds here. It won't be ready for any weight for a while, but I think that's what I'm going to do now. So, okay. So I got my lift arms all welded up and installed. Yeah, I think they turned out pretty all right. They are strong. What I like about it is there's very, very little free play in them. Now there's going to be some free play in the arms that come down and go to the lower arms, and so I mean, there's going to be a little bit of slop in the whole system, but otherwise it's all pretty good. I'm pretty dang happy with that. And also installed my little back plate. So this is going to be that little mark right there is where that's going to go. So that's just this is just a reducer for a 2-inch, for a 3-inch down to a 2-inch, or a 2.5 down to a 2-inch receiver hitch. So I'll cut a hole in there about the size of that, scoot that in, and I'll have it set in about 1 3/4 inches. And then on the back side, I'll put some gussets in there just to make sure that it's nice and strong. This is going to get welded all down the side here, down the side there, and that'll be what, basically this is just here to sort of cover the back and hold on to this thing. I'm not going to weld it to the bottom part where those lower link pins stick out, so it's just going to be on these side plates, and these side plates are not welded to that either. So I'll be able to remove this. So I just take this bolt, that bolt, and then that bolt out on both sides, and that'll come off. And that way I can get access to the back cover of the differential if I ever need it for whatever reason. And the, let me see. And these are going to be mounted on it too. They're going to have to get modified a bit, but ultimately they're going to end up something like that. They won't stick out near as far. They're going to be back, I don't know, more, they're going to be back to about this hole, from that hole right there, is going to mostly get cut off. So I'm going to trim back to about right there. Yeah, so I'll trim back to about right there, and that's where these will actually sit on here, and that's for my top link. That'll be for my top link. So if I ever need to remove this to get to service anything back there, all I have to do is just take the top link off, those bolts, and then that plate will come off. I won't have to disassemble anything else. This assembles pretty easily as well. Just there's one pin that goes through right there that holds the actuator to the bottom of this lever, and then there's 2 set screws that are just basically holding friction against a chrome rod that goes through these bushings. So you take those 2 off, push that rod out, and the whole thing comes out. It's pretty easy. And what else? Yeah, so that's pretty cool. I did try this thing out when I had all the arms on there. I can't show you it just yet because these arms, what they got soaking in this part solvent is the outer bearings for these things, and they are stuck. They are stuck like solid. And if I can't get them to loosen up, I'm going to end up having to cut them off and buying new ones from Tractor Supply and welding the new ones on there. A little bit annoying, but I guess it was only $150 for this whole 3-point set, and it pretty much works good. One thing I may end up doing, and we can kind of talk about this more in the next video when I have all this assembled, is these are straight up and down. Both of these are, but the arms kind of come down at an angle, and I may end up even having to trim this off a little bit so that there won't be this little piece won't stick out here at all. That'll be sort of flush with where that is, so, because it kind of rubs on this side. It doesn't rub much on this side at all. I think that's because my body work isn't exactly centered, but that's okay. So I'll just cut it off this side, cut it off that side, and that'll be that. And then it shouldn't rub too much. But other than that, I think this has been a pretty successful weekend. Oh yeah, I was saying when I had this all together, I could stand on it. I have like a little bar that goes across with holes in it. One's got a ball hitch on it. And what do they call that? Drawbar. Drawbar? I think they call it a drawbar. So I've got one of those on there. And I could stand on that drawbar and flip the button, and it will go up and down. Speaking about flipping the button, I also got it all installed in the tractor. So now this is my button. It's going to be that one right there. Yeah, so watch how that works. So I'll just flip it up, and then we're moving. Now it does move kind of slow, but once it gets to the end, once it gets on the lift arms themselves, the lower arms, it lifts at a reasonable speed, so not too bad. And I can't really go down as far as it's possible and travel, because I run into my little top plate here. Now what I may end up doing, if I determine that I do want to have this go down further, it basically goes to the ground. If I determine that I do want that, then all I'll have to do is just kind of come in through here, relieve this out a little bit, and then this just sort of goes straight down, so it'll just be a little notch that I'll take out of there if I decide I want to do that. And I haven't decided that I want to do that yet. But yeah, so overall a very productive weekend. Got a lot of work done, and I was very pleased to have that all sorted out. And I guess technically all I need to do now is weld this up, put that receiver hitch in there, and I think I'm going to start taking this thing apart. So the wiring for this wasn't terribly hard. It's just got this little box. This is a really cool little box. Power goes in right here, and then you have your up, forward, or reverse. But this is just a reversing relay, and it's pretty cool. So you just have your motor output right there. Power goes in over here, and then the motor output is right there. It doesn't say positive or negative because it's arbitrary. It just depends on, this could be positive or negative. It switches. So whenever you say, go up, it comes on with a red light, and then whenever you go the other way, it comes on with a green light. So that's pretty cool. And you could use that for anything. Use it for power windows or anything that you needed to reverse the direction of a motor. So that's kind of neat. And I have that wired in. I added a little, I don't know if we're going to be able to see it. I should have kept this off, but you can see this right here. This wire comes directly to my fuse box underneath here. So it's got its own 30 amp circuit, and this will be just for any 12 volt accessories that I may want to have back here. I may put on a like a cigarette lighter, or I could run a 12 volt accessory and could run a 12 volt inverter, like a 12 volt to 110 volt inverter. Could do just about anything with it. So that's kind of cool. And so the only kind of thing I'm kind of dreading on how I'm going to do it is I need to run, so this is my contactor for my rear power takeoff, for my 48 volt rear power takeoff for accessories and stuff, for plow or lawnmowers and all that. So I need to run, this is my negative side. I need to run a cable from here to the back and one from here to the back. This is my positive side. And it has to be one continuous piece that goes somewhere, somehow, then goes across that the swivelly part, and then goes out the back to a connector. And I don't know how I'm going to do that, but I'll, I'm going to do it somehow. Yeah. And I'll probably even run one forward as well, so I can have an output going forward. So that'd be kind of cool. And then I still have a problem of what to do with this here situation. Stand by. Yeah. You know them recliners that they give to old people to help you get out of the chair? That's kind of what I've got going on here. So I need to do something about that. Like I said before, I think I'm probably just going to cut this off and then bend it down, and then that ought to get me a whole lot closer to where I need to be. I hope. And if I don't know what I'll do if that doesn't work. That is it for this weekend. Long video. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.